Quick question. Which of these answers gets band 8?
Answer A, yes, I have a healthy lifestyle. I exercise every day and I eat vegetables and drink water. Answer B, honestly, I'd say it's a work in progress. I've been making more of an effort lately. I've started going for walks in the morning, which I actually enjoy more than I expected. But I'll be honest, my relationship with chocolate is not exactly healthy. Same question. One sounds like a robot reading the nutrition label. The other sounds like a real person. And in IELTS speaking, real people score higher. Today we're going to fix one of the most common mistakes I saw as an examiner. Candidates giving perfect answers that score terribly.
I'm Felicity, and that's Anthony. And what makes this podcast different is that everything you're about to hear comes from over a decade of real IELTS examiner experience. Thousands of actual tests. So when Anthony says he's heard too many perfect, boring health answers, he means it. He's graded them, and they didn't score well.
Welcome to episode 28, and we are nearly at the finish line of our Part 1 Quick Win series. Just one more episode after this one, so let's make this one count.
The topic today is keeping healthy, frame 14 on the current exam materials. And this is a topic that trips up candidates for a very specific reason, Anthony. What is it?
So the trap is this. Most candidates, especially high-achieving, well-prepared students, feel like they need to present their best self. They say things like, I exercise regularly, I eat a balanced diet, I drink plenty of water, I get 8 hours of sleep. It sounds virtuous, it sounds correct, but it sounds completely scripted, and examiners can hear scripted a mile away.
And here's the irony. The answer that sounds more natural, even if it includes admitting you eat too much chocolate or skip the gym sometimes, that answer scores higher because natural fluency, personality, and authentic voice are exactly what the 4 assessment criteria reward.
Right, so the key principle for this episode, honest with humor beats perfect but boring. Every time.
Okay, let's look at what questions actually come up in this frame. Examiners typically ask things like, do you think you have a healthy lifestyle? Or, what do you do to keep fit? They might ask, do you think diet or exercise is more important for good health? And sometimes, has your approach to health changed as you've got older?
Great range. So you've got personal reflection questions, comparison questions, and change over time questions. Different angles, but the same principle applies to all of them. Be specific, be honest, and add your personality.
Okay, let's do the phrase toolkit first. 5 phrases for this topic, all of them designed to sound natural, not rehearsed.
Phrase 1. I'd say it's a work in progress. This is the ultimate honest opener. It acknowledges imperfection without apologizing for it. Do you have a healthy lifestyle? I'd say it's a work in progress, honestly. That one phrase immediately sets you apart from the, yes, I eat vegetables every day crowd.
Phrase 2 is I've been making a conscious effort to. This is your process language. I've been making a conscious effort to get more sleep lately. Making a conscious effort is a strong collocation, and it signals self-awareness and current progress. Much better than I try to sleep well.
Phrase 3. I could definitely do better when it comes to. This is your honest admission phrase. I could definitely do better when it comes to stress management. It's mature, it's self-aware, and it's completely natural. Examiners love hearing candidates who know their limitations.
Phrase 4. My weak spot is short, punchy, personality-filled. My weak spot is probably late-night snacking. You can even laugh a little when you say it. That authenticity is gold in part 1.
And phrase 5. I tried to strike a balance between, for the comparison questions. I try to strike a balance between eating well and not being obsessive about it, because I think mental well-being matters just as much as physical health. That's a band 8 answer hidden inside a very simple structure.
Beautiful. Now, repeat after me moment. Say this out loud. I'd say it's a work in progress. Go on. I'd say it's a work in progress. Good. Now, add something personal. What's your health work in progress? That's your answer.
Okay, let's do the full role play. Felicity, take the examiner seat.
All right, stepping into examiner mode now. Let's talk about keeping healthy. Do you think you have a healthy lifestyle?
Honestly, I'd say it's a work in progress. I've been making a conscious effort to be more active lately. I started doing short walks in the morning about a month ago, which sounds simple, but it's actually made a noticeable difference to my energy levels. But I could definitely do better when it comes to food. My weak spot is probably late evenings. Once I'm relaxed at home, the snacking kind of happens.
What do you do to keep fit?
So at the moment, I'm mainly relying on those morning walks and occasionally going for a cycle at weekends. I'm not a gym person. I've tried and it never really sticks. I think the key for me is finding movement that doesn't feel like exercise. Walking works because it's low pressure and I can listen to something while I do it.
Do you think diet or exercise is more important for good health?
That's a really interesting question, actually. I used to think exercise was the most important thing, but the more I read about it, the more I think diet probably has the bigger impact, at least in terms of physical health. Having said that, I'd argue exercise wins when it comes to mental health. For me personally, moving my body is the single biggest factor in my mood. So I suppose I try to strike a balance between the two rather than prioritize one over the other.
Okay, stepping out of examiner mode, let's break that down because there was a lot happening there.
What stood out to you?
Three things. First, specificity. Anthony didn't just say, I walk. He said, short walks in the morning, about a month ago, noticeable difference to my energy levels. Details make answers sound real. Second, the admission. My weak spot is late evening snacking. That self-deprecating honesty is personality. Examiners are human. They respond to personality. And third, the opinion structure on the diet versus exercise question. He acknowledged the complexity. I used to think X, but now I think Y, and then added a personal angle. That's sophisticated reasoning, even in simple language.
And notice the grammar working quietly in the background. I've been making present perfect continuous, showing ongoing effort. I'd argue hedging modal. I suppose I try to natural discourse marker. None of it was showy. It just flowed.
Which is exactly how Band 7 and 8 grammar works. It's not about showing off structures. It's about using them so naturally that they barely register as structures at all.
Right. Okay. Band score progression. Same question. Has your approach to health changed as you've gotten older? Let's hear the level.
Band 5-6 first.
Yes, it has changed. When I was young, I did not think about health. Now I am older, I try to eat well and exercise more. I think health is very important.
Okay. Grammatical issues. When I was young, I did not think about health is technically fine, but the register is very basic. No specific detail, no personality, no development. Health is very important is the most generic closing line possible. That's Band 5. Now, Band 6-7.
Yeah, definitely. When I was a student, I didn't really pay attention to my health. I stayed up late, eat a lot of fast food, that sort of thing. But as I've got older, I've become more aware of how lifestyle choices affect how you feel day to day. So I'm more intentional about it now, I suppose.
Better. More intentional about it. Nice vocabulary. How lifestyle choices affect how you feel day to day, more developed reasoning. Some complex structure, but still a bit surface level. Not much personality, and the answer wraps up a bit abruptly. That's Band 6-7. Now 7-8.
Honestly, yes, quite a lot actually. At university, I was pretty terrible. Chronic sleep deprivation, terrible diet, zero exercise. I think a lot of students go through that phase. But somewhere in my mid 20s, I started noticing how directly my energy and mood were tied to basic things like sleep and movement. It was almost like a switch flip. Now I'm much more intentional, not in an obsessive way, but in a quietly aware sort of way. I pay attention to signals my body gives me more than I used to.
quietly aware sort of way. That's a beautiful phrase. Specific timeline, somewhere in my mid-20s, a switch flipped, idiomatic and vivid, chronic sleep deprivation, precise vocabulary, and the humor. At university, I was pretty terrible, creates immediate connection. That's band 7 to 8, and the band 8 plus version?
Significantly, yes. There's a kind of health naivety that I think most people have in their late teens and early 20s. You feel invincible. The consequences of bad habits feel distant and abstract. I certainly had that. What shifted for me was a period of prolonged stress in my late 20s that genuinely took a toll. I realized quite suddenly that energy and focus aren't unlimited resources. Since then, I've become considerably more deliberate about the basics: sleep, movement, nutrition, not because I'm anxious about health, but because I understand now that they're foundational to everything else I want to do. There's a kind of pragmatism to it, rather than a moral conviction.
That is band 8 to 9. Health naivety, an original and precise term. Invincible, strong vocabulary. Energy and focus aren't in limited resources. An abstract, original insight, rather than just a personal anecdote. Foundational to everything else I want to do, shows the ability to connect ideas. Pragmatism rather than moral conviction. That's the kind of nuanced opinion that makes an examiner sit up. Extraordinary range.
And again, I did not actually have a health crisis in my late 20s. I constructed that answer, and that's completely fine. That is IELTS.
All right, quick wins time. 3 things to take from today.
Quick win 1. Honest beats perfect. I'd say it's a work in progress scores higher than, yes, I exercise daily and eat a balanced diet. Examiners hear scripted health answers all day long. Authentic, specific, slightly imperfect answers stand out immediately.
Quick win 2, use process language. I've been making a conscious effort to. I've been trying to incorporate. I'm gradually getting better at. These phrases show ongoing effort and demonstrate the present perfect continuous tense, which is a band 7 grammatical marker. You're getting vocabulary and grammar credit in a single phrase.
Quick win 3. Add your personality. A small laugh, a self deprecating moment, a genuine opinion. My weak spot is late night snacking. These are not weaknesses in the test, they are your score. Personality is part of fluency. The most memorable candidates I ever examined were the ones who felt like real people.
If this episode clicked for you, please subscribe. We are publishing new episodes every week, and next time we have the final episode in our Part 1 Quick Win series. It's all about ambitions and dreams. And honestly, this one has one of the sharpest Band 5 versus Band 8 contrasts we've done. Don't miss it.
Episode 29: Ambitions and Dreams. It's the last of the Quick Win series, and then we head into our grand finale. Stay with us, and until then, keep speaking, keep being honest, and we'll see you next time.